Today I'll be showing you guys Lee's FK2R. Hi!
Doesn't matter where we go and destination or no. I don't care where the motor stops. Cause when I want it, then I want it. Yeah, I want it. Oh, I want it. Let's go.
Annyeong! Let's start from the very beginning and go over the history of the Honda Civic.
Civic 4ドアに搭載してお届けいたします。
Starting in 1973, we saw the first generation which came at a low cost, high quality, and incredible reliability.
DOHC VTEC.
In 1992 is when we saw the VTEC introduced in the VX and SI Civic, and it characterized what Honda would become best known for. Over the years, we saw more iterations and people fell in love with the Civic formula until we get to 2015, the year of the forgotten FK2 Type R. This is Lee. He owns Australia's first registered FK2 Type R.
So I'm here with the owner, Lee, who owns this beautiful FK2R. Lee, could you tell us a little bit more about your FK2R?
It's a long time coming, this car. It's something that I've really wanted for ever since 2015 when they first announced these. Unfortunately, it never came to Australia. They teased it, but never came through. So this is originally from the UK. This is the GT version, which is the, I guess, the kooky version in that sense, which is the later one, 2016. So these were released only for 2 years, and in total they made 4,500 of these.
So out of all the Civics that you could have bought, why did you choose to buy the FK2R?
I really wanted one for a very long time, and it was just the look of it at the same time, especially the wing and the back of it, that really caught my attention. So that ended up being that kind of driving force to get one in the end.
What else do I have?
Engine.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Tell me more about your engine in this car.
So this actually has the K20C1, which is actually the predecessor to the FK8, and it's one of the first turbocharged Honda engines, which still has VTEC technically speaking, but yes, it's the first turbocharged one, and you can see from a lot of it, it's very much influenced with what the FK8 became and things like that, and it's definitely a big part of Honda.
Yeah, this has definitely become the catalyst for the turbo Type Rs.
That's right.
But no one knows about it here in Australia.
That's right. I've had some pretty funny names. I've got FN1s, FN4s, the FK1. That was the other one as well, which is also an all right name for it, but you know, in between. Got a few names so far.
So if you guys didn't know, Lee is also a family man. How does this car fit in with your daily dad routines?
So we've actually tested this out. So right now we've got 2 dogs. My wife, who's pregnant.
Congratulations.
And thank you very much. 3 shelves, new vacuum. Baby seat's perfectly fine. Actually has tethers for it already. New hose set. It is a very comfortable and family-friendly car.
Dad approved.
Dad approved, yes.
Even though the FK2R serves as a great daily for the typical dad, we can't forget about how this car was made to be a competitor to other hot hatches, pushing the boundaries of aero and engine capabilities.
So Lee has just given me his keys to his FK2R, so we're going to go inside and have a little look at the interior. We've got access. I really like the design of the center console, so all the elements are facing towards the driver. The head unit looks very modern. We've also got the Type R badge that shows the number of this vehicle. We've got the red suede material bucket seats with the Type R logo on it, adorned with the red seat belt straps as well. And of course, with all the Type Rs, we've got the Type R badging on the floor mat as well, so you can never forget that you're in a Type R. So what's a little bit funny about the FK2R is the handbrake is on the left side, closer to the passenger seat than it is to the driver. And right next to it, we've got a little compartment for the 2 cup holders. So if you decide to brake all of a sudden, we'll be knocking around your drinks.
In my dreams we always fight, 'cause we never worked it out. It just kinda slipped through our hands.
For a design that was launched in 2015, it was very much a milestone for the time where cars were steering towards the era of the spaceship aesthetic. But does it drive as exciting as it looks?
Hold on, actually hold on. haven't pressed record on the GoPro. Sorry, I forgot. Sorry, mate.
Fuck you, Lee.
So now that we're in your car,
Yeah.
what is your experience driving it?
So I haven't driven a manual car in like, I dare say like almost like 12 or 13 years before I bought this car. So technically speaking, I was learning how to drive manual again in this car. You're able to just kind of have it for the weekends and stuff like that. So it's been good for that reason. You buy a Honda because it's 90% of the time it's because it's fun.
That's right. But along with the fun, you also get the reliability. It's honestly so easy to work on. The parts are cheap too.
Yes.
I don't know about the parts for this car though.
Which is the other thing about this. So the difficult part about this car is that it's a bit hard to obtain parts for, just because it's mostly UK, and the fact that there were a much smaller number in comparison to the newer Type Rs that were made for manufacturing. So that was the main worry when I first bought this car. There's actually a lot of FK8 parts which are actually, funnily enough, an upgrade, which is kind of nice.
So what you're saying is the FK8 parts are backwards compatible with this car?
Yeah, some of them are technically would be better. For example, I heard that the clutch and the flywheel for the FK8 is you're actually able to put that into the FK2. So if we were to do that, apparently it's a big upgrade for it.
But why do you think that the Australian market or even the US market didn't get the FK2R?
I felt like it was a big shock because they, as I mentioned earlier, like they had this massive tease of this car, and they had all the teaser videos, the Nürburgring video, everything with the time, like, you know, breaking the records and whatnot. They had everything going. But then the one thing that they didn't do, obviously, was release the car here. But yeah, like for 2 years straight before the actual car was released, they were actually teasing this for ages. So it's kind of a shock and a bit of a shame at the same time.
Beg for you to keep it to yourself.
So, what was the reason? My theory is that Honda didn't release the 2015 Civic Type R globally because they were using this as a chance to gauge the appetite of the consumer market.
It was so exhausting, so I lasted, had to make it stop.
They adjusted to the public demand, which seemed comfortable with buying daily commuter cars. It's known that even in the past, sports cars have always been a gamble as it targets a niche category: car enthusiasts that are willing to pay for performance.
We're going to do it again, but I'm going to be driving it.
Yes.
I'm excited. I've never sat in one of these before. You can see the influence of this car's design in the FK for sure.
And what do you think about the actual dash?
It's very simplistic. I love it. It's actually very similar to what my layout is. So you've got the fuel gauge here, you've got the revs? Wait, sorry, where's the...
Yeah, that's the revs right there.
The speedometer is over here.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yes.
I see. Right. This is very much like...
FK2R, I think it's like that.
Yeah, the FK2R is very similar in terms of layout. I didn't even notice that. That's so cool. And you've got the plus R button too.
Yes, and if you put that on, you'll see exactly what it's like.
Let me just adjust my seat. I'm very short. All right, I think we're ready. Wow. Yeah, this is one thing I mentioned when you weren't there. But the handbrake is really weirdly laid out.
Yes.
Why is it on the left side and not on the right side?
I'm pretty sure they designed it for left-hand drive as well for Europe.
Right.
So they had that in design. European. There you go. Yeah, she put the wipers on. Yeah, wipers on there on the right side.
No way.
Blinkers on the left.
So even the blinkers are on the left.
Yes.
Wow, this is incredible. Okay, I'll try not to stall your car. This Honda was considered the experimental Honda.
That's right.
That's when they chucked in a turbo and said, oh, we're bringing back the Civic. And I could see why. There was a lot of controversy around this car. But after driving it, it doesn't feel controversial at all. I can't explain how the clutch feels. It feels like it's got a spring at the bottom.
Yeah, it feels spring-loaded, but it's not as much as, for example, the new BRZ or the new 86s and the new i30s. Their manual transmission with the spring behind it, it's totally different. I found it really hard to try and drive manual in those. Yeah.
The windshield wipers! I love the feel of it. I can see why you daily this. Oh well, you could daily this.
Yes, you definitely can daily this. Like, I speak to a lot of people in the UK that this is their daily car, but it's also heartbreaking because UK people don't really have garages. So these are all over the street instead.
Oh, right.
Which makes it really scary for an import, unless you get it properly checked. You're okay.
You know what? The suspension is pretty good on this. It's stock, right?
Yeah, it's all stock. Until you turn it the R mode, it becomes really stiff. And yeah, this will become very, very, very bumpy.
R for racing.
Yes, R for racing. R for really bumpy.
Good.
If we have the turning circle for it.
All right.
Let's give it a go. See how this turns out.
Wish me luck.
Good luck.
I'm doing a burnout in your car, Lee.
Hectic.
Yeah, boy.
We did it.
What happens if I press the R button now?
You want to give it a go?
Should I do it?
Yeah, try it.
It has been pressed.
Everything turns red.
Wow, it's a lot more snappy. Yes.
Yeah.
The steering has stiffened a lot. Wow.
The actual throttle response is completely different.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, this is not comfort anymore.
No, it's not.
Wow, this is incredible.
It's pretty incredible that it's a single hit of a button. That's why it's also quite worrying when you're in busy traffic and you've accidentally turned it on and forgotten. Even though it's all red, you sometimes forget. Yeah.
Extra horsepower if you have additional red things on your car. Like this little Spider-Man here. When you drive newer cars like this, you definitely see the difference between the raw power that Hondas used to have versus now with all the support of technology.
Yeah.
And it just makes the driving experience so much easier. Oh my god. Definitely feels more painful in art mode.
Yeah.
Very responsive. The brakes to the clutch to the transmissions, just everything's so responsive. Love it.
I'm glad you like it.
Look at that turning circle. That's actually pretty tight.
I don't know, I drive it daily and I thought this turning circle was really small.
I can't get over this. I literally can't. I signaled the wrong way too. So we'll go reverse all the way back.
Yeah.
You know, when you reverse a Honda, it's pretty much a rear wheel drive. Drift backwards.
That's fair.
The amazing European beauty. Well, not really, because it's made by Honda, hey.
Made in Europe, so.
Oh, right,
So
there we go.
So is it EDM or is it JDM? Who knows?
This car is made in the UK, but designed in Japan. Is it UKDM or is it JDM?
That's always the, apparently the online argument. I don't know.
The best way that I can describe the FK2R is that it has two personalities. On one side, it carries the qualities of a great daily driver, and on the other, it reminds you of the Civic performance history with one push of the R button. This car is one with many firsts. The most controversial being the transition from non-aspirated VTEC to turbo. But it still gives you the familiar feeling of driving a Honda. Even though the FK2R was never released to the rest of the world, there are many people who remember the impact that this Civic had. This Civic Type R will leave a legacy, and through enthusiasts like Lee, cars like this will never really be forgotten.
That's great.
Yeah, the Woolies.
Thank you. Woolies. Sponsored by Woolies. Excellent.